I was sunning things at home when someone suddenly arrived from the capital, saying the general's wife was gravely ill. Before she died, she wanted to see her best friend one last time. When I rushed over, I found my best friend lying on the sickbed, barely clinging to life. Her husband had not come to see her even once. Only his favored concubine came every day to show off. What a pitiful sight you are, elder sister. You pretended to be sick so many times that now you've really gotten your just desserts. My best friend grabbed my hand, her voice dry and hoarse. Afu, I'm going to die soon. I left something for you. You have to. I don't want it. I cut her off, casually picked up a golden hairpin, and stabbed it into the concubine's throat. I came here to stand up for you. Gold was too soft, not as sturdy as silver. The strike landed off-center, only cutting through her skin, I thought to myself. What a pity. The concubine already screamed shrilly, elder sister, you've gone mad. Do you think bringing some country bumpkin here lets you run wild in this mansion? Wait till the general comes back, he'll make you regret it. She screamed and staggered away, covering her neck, like a wounded, crazed pheasant. I was about to chase after her to finish the job, when Yunxiao stopped me urgently. Don't, Afu. She stood up to block me, nearly falling off the bed. Her words are unpleasant. But she doesn't deserve death. I turned to support her and said calmly, I heard everything on the way here. Your third child died at her hands, one life for another. It's only fair. When Yunxiao forced a bitter smile, it's not that simple. When it comes down to it, Xie Yang is more to blame. Xie Yang was her husband. He had risen to the second rank through military achievements and was about to be granted a title. He was the talk of the capital right now. I thought for a moment. Killing them both would be difficult, but I'll try my best. When Yunxiao couldn't help but laugh a little, I know you want to vent for me, but I don't have much time left. Don't waste your time on her. Xie Yang may have fallen for someone else, but I've saved plenty over the years thanks to his status. Besides the dowry for our daughter, I still have 2 shops, 10 mu of good farmland, and several hundred taels of silver. Afu, I'm leaving it all to you. Live well. Her body was already extremely weak. Every sentence left her coughing violently. By the last few words, she could barely breathe. Blood from her cough splashed onto the hem of my clothes. It was blindingly bright. I fell silent for a moment, wiping the blood from her lips. I don't want your things, Afu. When Yunxiao stared at me blankly, are you still angry with me? Do you think my things are dirty? I shook my head. When Yunxiao, I came to the capital today to stand up for you, too. I lived in the south of the Yangtze, 1,000 miles away from the capital. When the old nurse sent by when Yunxiao found me, I was sunning a set of wolf bones in the yard. The white-haired old nurse squinted and studied me carefully. She asked, are you Miss Afu? I turned around, slipped my dagger into the sheath tied to my thigh, and took the letter from her hand. When Yunxiao knew I was not very literate, so she kept the letter short. Afu, I'm dying. Come to the capital to see me one last time. Okay, I fell into thought. Had when Yunxiao forgotten that we had already broken up when she left the south? The old nurse had no idea what I was thinking. She only said, Madam is very ill. Medicine can no longer help her. Besides the young miss, who just turned 2, you are the one she misses most. I scoffed softly. Lies. What about Xie Yang, the one she used to think of day and night? Why doesn't she miss him? Master Xie is General Nanan now. He has many concubines and maids. He hasn't visited Madam's chambers in a long time. The old nurse wiped her tears as she spoke. Last year, Madam was with child again, but the general brought a young woman back, saying she was the love of his life. He called Madam a vicious snake. Madam was furious, then pushed by the favored concubine. She lost the baby that same night. I had already turned to go back and tidy my wolf bones, but I stopped at her words. A pair of birds perched on the wall, chirping. I suddenly thought of when we were very young, when Yunxiao and I were both orphans raised in a charity hall. She was kind and talkative. She clung to me every day, chattering non-stop. I never knew where she got so much to say. When she saw I was getting annoyed, she would quickly hug my arm. Afu, you're the best. You're my best friend. They all think I talk too much and am annoying, but I know in your eyes, I'll always be quiet and elegant. Right, I gave in. Let her talk. It wouldn't get in the way of my real business. But the old nurse went on. After the miscarriage, Madam fell seriously ill. When she recovered, she just sat by the window, barely speaking except to play with the young miss. The general thought she was dull and unlucky, so he refused to visit even more. The two birds snuggled close together affectionately. The smaller one picked up a grain of wheat and fed it to the other, just like when we were little, when Yunqiao, always hungry, would share her food with me. I thought I had to go to the capital. 3. When Yunqiao had really changed, she spoke less than a tenth of what she used to. She had become gentle and quiet. I sharpened my knife beside her. She only smiled and ordered someone to bring her daughter out for me to see. When Yunqiao's daughter was named Xieshu, she was fair and cute, a tiny little thing. She had just learned to talk. After being carried in, she stumbled over to her mother and bowed clumsily. Daughter greets mother. I watched coldly. Love poured out of when Yunqiao's eyes like mist. She lifted Xieshu with some effort and called me over. This is Aunt Afu. Say hello to her. When mother is gone, listen to her well. Do you understand? Xieshu called me in a sweet voice, Aunt Afu. When Yunqiao smiled softly. Go on, let Aunt Afu hold you. I frowned and stepped back 2 paces. Stay away from me. I hate children. Besides, she was Xieyang's daughter too. Xieshu was frightened by the coldness in my eyes. She stood there blankly. She looked just like when Yunqiao when she was stunned. I thought, when Yunqiao did not push it, she forced a bitter smile and was about to say something. The door was suddenly kicked open with great force. A bitter wind swept in with snowflakes, along with an angry male voice. When Yunqiao, you poisonous woman. Xieshu turned pale with fear, and hid behind me instinctively. The cold wind blew. And when Yunqiao started coughing again, the man's boots creaked on the floor, but he ignored her increasingly violent coughing. His voice was thick with sarcasm, pretending to be pitiful again. When Yunqiao, every time you hurt someone you fake illness. How many more times are you going to pull this trick? He strode toward when Yunqiao, shrouded in cold air, and was about to pinch her chin when his expression suddenly changed. In the next moment, a thin, sharp knife flew past, slicing off half his fingertip, exposing white bone. Xieyang clutched his wound and spun around sharply. Who's there? Stay away from Wen Yunqiao. I stood up. Can't you hear her coughing? Xieyang stared at my face and suddenly fell silent, frowning. I snorted coldly. If I'd known this would happen, I would have killed you back then. Understand this, if Wen Yunqiao hadn't begged for you, the grass on your grave would be several feet high by now. Xieyang's face changed drastically. Jiang Fu, 7 years ago, when Yunqiao and I were both 15, descendants of the deposed crown prince had raised a rebel army and declared themselves kings in Yunju, south of the Yangtze. The capital sent troops to suppress them, but a small vanguard was defeated at the foot of the mountains because they were unfamiliar with the terrain. When Yunqiao happened to be gathering herbs nearby and saved the seriously injured Xieyang, the two fell in love naturally. Back then, he was only a lowly centurion. Holding Wen Yunqiao's hand, he promised, Qiao Qiao, I'll be good to you for the rest of my life. When Yunqiao believed him, I didn't. There was nothing but ambition in his eyes. He would never be content with mediocrity. When Yunqiao shouldn't marry someone like him, even if she wanted to marry, I went to persuade her. His brows are high, his lips thin, and the whites of his eyes are too prominent. He's a man of little loyalty and affection. When Yunqiao laughed, Afu, you can read faces now. She shook my hand and coquetted. Afu, you don't understand. He's really, really good to me. As soon as his wounds got better, he got out of bed to help me work. He wouldn't let me take care of him anymore. I said expressionlessly, that wasn't your work to begin with. When Yunqiao was left speechless. She then showed me the new silver hairpin in her hair. Look, he bought this for me after chopping firewood for others. The hairpin was flimsy, worth no more than 1 tael of silver, less than the cost of his medicine for 3 days. But when Yunqiao had already fallen head over heels in love, she wouldn't listen to anything. I thought for a moment and decided to solve the problem at the root. Kill Xieyang directly, and there would be no more trouble. Unfortunately, I messed up the timing. I was halfway through stabbing him when Yunqiao came back. Her eyes reddened. Afu, why must you set yourself against Xieyang? I did not want to explain. I pulled out my dagger to stab again, but she rushed over and stood in front of him. Xieyang coughed up blood, saying in broken gasps, I know why. She colluded with the rebels. Look at her dagger, it's carved with the plum blossom that represents the deposed crown prince. Tears streamed down Yunqiao's face. Afu, I know you're skilled in martial arts. I can't stop you. If you really have to kill Master Xie, kill me first. What a pair of star-crossed lovers. I looked at Wen Yunxiao. For the first time, she felt like a stranger. So I said, if one of us must die today, him or me, what do you choose? Wen Yunxiao bit her lip and said nothing. She still stood protectively in front of Xie Yang. The answer was clear. I nodded and sheathed my dagger. Fine, I'll spare him today. And you, Wen Yunxiao. From now on, your life or death has nothing to do with me. 5. Memories rushed back. I looked at Xie Yang before me. Since you remember, how do you plan to die? Xie Yang sneered. Jiang Fu, you colluded with rebels to kill me back then. Did you think I would live to see this day? I've been searching for you for a long time. Who would have thought you'd deliver yourself to me? At dawn, I'll go to the palace to request an imperial edict. I'll have His Majesty convict you. I lifted my sword and mocked. You still have to run to the palace and tattle, begging someone else to stand up for you. Wen Yunxiao, this is the useless man you picked out carefully to marry. Xie Yang flew into a rage. He had been in a high position for too long. He hadn't heard such insulting words in ages. But I had a sword, so he didn't dare clash with me. He could only turn his anger on Wen Yunxiao. Wen Yunxiao, Yang was right. You orphan girls are the most scheming. You married me only for the title of general's wife. All these years you've hoarded private money using my name. I ignored it out of marital kindness. Yet you brought the villain who tried to kill me into this mansion. I bet the time she tried to murder me and you protected me, that was all an act, wasn't it? After he spoke, the air fell deadly silent. A flicker of regret crossed Xie Yang's face, but he still kept a cold expression and stared at Wen Yunxiao, waiting for her to do as she always had, to panic, to explain, to apologize, to yield. For 7 years, that was how it had been between them. She had taken the first step back for him. After that, every step was expected of her. But when Yunxiao did not look at him, she only stared at me, fixedly. The faint, wavering spark in her eyes was completely extinguished. After a moment, a tear of blood trickled from the corner of her eye. She sounded as if her life was draining away. Her voice hoarse and almost shrill as she called me, Afu, Afu, I was wrong, I chose wrong. 6. At first, things between her and Xie Yang had not been like this. Right after they married, they had a sweet, clinging period. Xie Yang was grateful that she had broken off with her closest friend to protect him. So he treated her extremely well. Holding her hand, he swore to the heavens, I, Xie Yang, will never betray Wen Yunxiao in this life. If I break this vow, heaven and earth will punish me. Before he finished, thunder crashed outside. Wen Yunxiao clapped a hand over his mouth in fright. Don't swear nonsense, I trust you, I believe everything you say. But the good times did not last. In their 3rd year of marriage, the late emperor passed away and a new emperor ascended the throne. Power shifted in court, and many former officials were dismissed. Xie Yang was promoted for his military achievements. He took Wen Yunxiao back to the capital. She was an orphan, unfamiliar with the rules of noble households, and she was naturally lively. At ladies' gatherings, she would chat whenever someone spoke to her, but few were as patient as Jiang Fu. Xie Yang's rank was not yet high enough to command respect. Once she talked too much, everyone would drift away. Wen Yunxiao felt very lonely. Just then, a woman appeared who was willing to listen to her all the time. Wen Yunxiao went to play with her every day. Only when Xie Yang was punished by the emperor for improper words and deeds, his salary suspended for half a year and he was confined at home, did she learn that the woman was the wife of Xie Yang's political enemy. When she returned home, Xie Yang looked at her disappointedly. How could you be so stupid? You can't be virtuous and proper like other men's wives. Yet you keep dragging me down. As time passed, he grew more and more disgusted with her. He disliked her low birth, that her family could give him no help. He disliked her common air, that she could not be his elegant companion, only thinking of earning more silver. He disliked that she always brought up his old life debt when they argued. If not for me, you would have died by the rebels' blades. Xie Yang sneered, if I'd known you'd hold it over my head like this, I'd rather have died back then. Wen Yunxiao froze in place, tears falling in disbelief. Annoyed by her crying, Xie Yang turned and left. He went to relax on a painted boat. A close colleague gave him a young girl. She had a soft waist, a sweet voice, acted humble before him, and even recited romantic poems. Xie Yang drowned himself in this gentle haven, only returning home days later. When Yunxiao waited for him at the gate, one hand supporting her waist, they spoke at the same time. Xie Yang, I'm pregnant, I'm taking a concubine. Wind swirled fallen leaves around them. When Yunxiao's smile froze on her lips, as if she hadn't heard, she asked again, "What did you say?" Xie Yang's face turned cold. "It's perfect that you're pregnant, you can't serve me. A colleague gave me a pleasing girl. I'm taking her as my secondary wife." When Yunxiao shrilled, "I won't allow it," he sneered. "I am a general. Do I need your permission to take a concubine?" Seeing her stunned, he felt a flicker of pity. He soothed her, "Don't worry. It's only a concubine. You are my legal wife. No one can take your place." 7. I believed him again. When Yunxiao laughed hoarsely, "Afu, I'm so stupid." Later, more and more women came into the mansion. One was the daughter of a disgraced official, named Song Yang. He even traded his military rewards to free her from servitude. Afraid she would be wronged as a concubine, he wanted to marry her as his equal wife. I raged, I fought, I even pretended to be ill to soften his heart. But nothing worked. When Yunxiao gripped my hand tightly and chatted about the past all night, Xie Yang was not in the room. He had been frightened by that single tear of blood from Wen Yunxiao. He mumbled, "I'll fetch a doctor," and fled in near panic. He never brought a doctor back. When Yunxiao's maids went to check and said he had spent the night in Miss Song Yang's chambers and had asked for hot water twice. Here, the sky gradually lightened. Xie Shu slept soundly on the couch in the warm inner room. Outside, snow beat endlessly against the window frame. When Yunxiao suddenly smiled helplessly, "I talked too much again. You must be annoyed with me, right?" "No," I answered sincerely. No one had spoken to me like this in 7 years. Truth be told, I had missed her too. She gazed deeply into my eyes. "I want to ask, but I dare not. Afu, have you been well these years? Do you have someone you love?" "Someone I love," I thought. If it meant loving someone like when Yunxiao loved Xie Yang, no, I didn't. But there had been a man who wanted to marry me. I refused, and he left. It didn't matter. So I only said, "I've been well, rest, I'll go get you a doctor." She had been pregnant 3 times in 7 years, and only Xie Shu survived. Her body was completely broken, as if sensing she was dying, when Yunxiao suddenly sat up and grabbed my hand fiercely. "Afu, promise me, don't fight Xie Yang. At dawn, take what I left you. Take Oshu, and leave the capital. If you're out of sight, he'll spare you for his daughter's sake. Afu, I beg you, you must live well." I said, "All right, I promise." She lay back, satisfied, and closed her eyes. But I did not keep my word. I told the maid to go for a doctor, then turned and picked up my sword. The hunt was on. 8. Snow fell all night. The snow outside reached halfway up people's calves. I hurried through the snow. Nothing like this ever fell in the south. The cold seeped into the bones. The sky was black, endless. When Yunxiao had always loved liveliness, how had she endured these cold, lonely days in the capital, year after year? Just thinking about it set a fire burning in my chest. I first found the residence of concubine Fang. She was the first concubine Xie Yang had brought back from the painted boat. The wound on her neck had been bandaged, but my cut had been deep. She was in too much pain to sleep, tossing and turning in bed, cursing Wen Yunxiao non-stop, just an orphan with no parents, daring to act wild in front of me. Her maid echoed her. "Everyone in the mansion knows the mistress has long fallen out of favor. The general dotes on you most." "Mistress?" Concubine Fang beamed with pride. "Exactly. Who still treats her like a real mistress. The general told me himself if Wen Yunxiao hadn't saved him back then, he would have divorced her long ago. 7 years married, and she only gave him a daughter. Now she coughs and bleeds all the time. It's so unlucky to listen to." She stroked her belly. "The doctor said this one is almost certainly a boy. He'll be the general's eldest son. When Wen Yunxiao breathes her last, I'll tell the general to move into her courtyard, and that Xie Shu, sooner or later, I'll make her." She happily dreamed of her future. Before she finished, I kicked the door open. The 2 in front of the soft couch saw me and screamed in terror. "It's you, guards, soldiers. Help, stop yelling." I knocked them all out. "If you're really that attached, I can kill a few to keep you company on your way." I knocked the maid unconscious with the sheath of my sword, lifted one leg, and stepped on the edge of the couch. Looking at concubine Fang, she trembled all over, fear carved into her bones. Miss Jiang, think carefully. If you kill me, the general will never let you go." I nodded. "Don't worry, he'll be here soon enough." Concubine Fang's face turned ashen. She finally realized no one could save her. Trembling, she knelt on the couch and kowtowed to me, begging for her life. "I'm with child, Miss Jiang. You're a woman too, please, for the baby's sake." When Yunqiao was also a woman, she was also with child. I curled my lip. "Last spring. You were the one who pushed her and made her lose the baby, weren't you?" She shook even harder, no words to defend herself. She only sobbed. "I was blinded by greed. I truly know I was wrong. People were so strange. When begging for mercy, they said every pitiful thing. But when they saw when Yunqiao was gentle, they showed her no mercy at all. When Yunqiao was kind, she only blamed Xie Yang, not others. I had no such patience. The old nurse had told me, concubine Fang was sharp-tongued and favored. She always said the cruelest things, driving knives into when Yunqiao's heart. When Yunqiao's illness was not only physical, grief and bitterness had eaten her alive, seeing I hadn't struck yet. Concubine Fang thought she saw hope. "Miss Jiang, I'll apologize to the mistress. I'll kneel at her door until she forgives me. Will that do?" "No." I shook my head. "I don't think she wants to see you." I found paper, ink, and a brush. I made her kneel on the couch and write a confession to Wen Yunqiao. When she finished the last character, Concubine Fang looked up, gazing at me hopefully. "Miss Jiang, now that I've written this, will you let me go?" My sword was her answer. It pierced straight through her heart. "No, but you can die quickly." Her eyes widened, staring at me in disbelief. A moment later, venom burst from her gaze. She opened her mouth, coughing up blood as she spoke. "Kill me, what does it matter? Wen Yunqiao is going to die anyway. Ha ha ha, Jiang Fu, no matter how strong you are, can you steal her from the king of hell, on the road to the underworld? When Yunqiao will be with me, I won't be alone." I didn't want to listen. I neatly cut off her tongue, then quickly snatched the confession, keeping it from being stained with blood. Even so, a strange feeling filled my chest. I slowly raised my hand and wiped the corner of my eye. I felt a hot tear. 9. When I was little, a fortune teller said I was born missing a part of my soul. That was why I lacked emotion, but it made me focus better, learn faster. That was why I mastered martial arts so quickly. By 13, every strike of my sword drew blood. No one dared bully Wen Yunqiao and me for being orphans anymore. It should have been a good thing. But when Yunqiao always held me and cried, "Afu, you'll miss out on so much," I didn't understand. Miss out on what? Feelings. The most beautiful things between people: friendship, family, love. I hope you get to experience all of them. As she spoke, she mentioned Xie Yang again. Like me and Xie Yang, just thinking about him makes me happy. Gathering herbs on the mountain doesn't feel tiring. Every time I see him, I feel so blessed. I hated hearing her talk about him. I picked up my knife and left. When Yunqiao called after me unhappily, "Where are you going again? You run to the mountains all the time this year. Did you make new friends?" No, I didn't turn back. I wasn't lying. Whatever I had with that man, it was not friendship. He'd seen how skilled I was and paid me a high price to guard him. His name was Li Changhuan. He claimed to be the son of the deposed crown prince. I didn't care who his father was. I only listened when he said, "Afu, please keep this employment between us. Don't tell anyone." I shook my head. "No, I have a friend. I tell her everything." He smiled gently. "I understand. But I'm doing this for your friend too. What I'm planning is extremely dangerous. If things go wrong, she'll be safer knowing nothing. Besides, secrets succeed in silence. More people mean more risk." He was handsome. When he smiled, he was dazzling. I felt dizzy for a moment. When I came to, it sounded reasonable. When Yunqiao was too innocent, not knowing anything was better for her. So I agreed. Li Changhuan smiled at me again. "Afu, you're so kind." I frowned. "Are you unwell? Why do you ask? Your voice isn't the same as when we first met." He stiffened. "The weather's been cold. My throat is uncomfortable." "Afu, are you worried about me?" He smiled again. I was confused. When we first met, Li Changhuan had always been stern, his gaze colder than anyone's. He tried to kill me, but his guards were all slaughtered by me. When my sword pressed against his neck, he was still calm. "There's a traitor beside me. I could never find out who. Thank you for helping me, miss." I narrowed my eyes. "Aren't you afraid of death? If you kill me today, miss, I doubt you'll live either." He spoke calmly. "I have a better idea. I have no one to guard me now. I'll pay you 1,000 taels to protect me for 6 months. After that, another rich reward." I agreed. When Yunqiao was at the age of loving pretty things, She wanted so many dresses and hair ornaments, but she couldn't afford any with just the money from gathering herbs. 1,000 taels would buy her everything she liked. Later, Li Changhuan asked why I was so young yet so skilled. The sword you use, it looks just like the one Lin Wushuang, the long-retired plum blossom swordsman, used. I nodded. He was my master. He's passed away. Li Changhuan was shocked. He swore never to take disciples. Yes, at first, he hadn't planned to take me. It was when Yunxiao, she saw I loved martial arts and pestered Lin Wushuang every day, charming the old man until he finally agreed to teach me his secret swordsmanship. Actually, the one he'd wanted to teach was Wen Yunxiao, not me, but she had no interest in such things. When he asked again and again, she just smiled sweetly. Then teach Afu well. When she becomes the strongest under heaven, she can protect me better. Afu and I are going to be together forever. But forever was so short. 10. I dragged concubine Fang's body and found Xie Yang in Song Yang's chambers. The room reeked of a disgusting stench. The two were half-dressed, sleeping in each other's arms. I took out a dagger and nailed Xie Yang's palm to the couch. He woke screaming. When he saw concubine Fang's messy corpse, he screamed even louder, shaking with rage. You dare kill someone in my mansion? Jiang Fu, are you mad? What's the rush? I said. You're next. Song Yang also woke up. When she saw what was happening, she trembled and cried, trying to hide behind Xie Yang. I'd heard all about her before coming. Her father had been vice prime minister before he was convicted. She thought herself well-read and looked down on Wen Yunxiao, always acting superior, mocking and belittling her at every turn. Why are you screaming? One little blood and you're howling. Are you useless? Xie Yang truly thought her his true love. He immediately defended her. Yang is a noble lady. She can't stand blood. Unlike you wild mountain girls. He stopped mid-sentence. He finally realized, I was not Wen Yunxiao, I was Jiang Fu, the one who could kill him at any moment. I smiled. Xie Yang, don't you find it disgusting to say things like that, when you were lying half-dead at the foot of the mountain? If Wen Yunxiao had been as useless as this thing in your arms, you would have died long ago. He flew into a rage. She saved me once. How many times must she throw it in my face? If she didn't keep holding it over me, our kindness wouldn't have run out so quickly. How ridiculous. Wen Yunxiao, you loved him with all your heart, and in the end, to him, it was just kindness. Fine. I won't mention it anymore. Then give your life back to Wen Yunxiao. I pulled out another dagger and threw it between them. Both turned pale, staring at concubine Fang's body on the floor. They finally realized I was serious. Song Yang cried pitifully. General, save me. He can't save you. He can't beat me. I said calmly, how about a game? Only one of you 2 lives. Choose before dawn. 7 years ago, when Yunxiao had made a choice like this, she had been deeply in love with Xie Yang. Yet she could never bring herself to kill me, so she had been ready to die herself. Xie Yang deserved to feel that pain too. 11. Too bad I overestimated him. When he heard only one could live. Xie Yang's face turned ghastly. He snatched the dagger and killed Song Yang on the spot. Song Yang didn't even understand until the end. When her throat was pierced, she was still trying to curl into his arms. After killing her, Xie Yang looked at me, face dark, teeth gritted. Now you and Wen Yunxiao are satisfied, aren't you? She kept targeting Yang, faking illness, framing her, even threatening miscarriage. She sent you here just to make me stay only with her. Now concubine Fang and Yang are dead, I only have her. She can finally relax. He spoke with bitter reluctance, his voice thick with loathing. I found it utterly absurd and burst out laughing. Ha ha ha, Xie Yang, you actually think Wen Yunxiao still cares about you? What kind of trash are you? She chose you 7 years ago. Afu and I already broke off. Why do you think I came to the capital? I grabbed his neck and slapped him hard. When Yunxiao is dying, I came to make you all die with her. I held nothing back. The blow swelled his cheek and blood trickled from his lip. He turned his head and spat out a tooth. Yet he acted as if he felt nothing, only staring at me, voice shaking. What are you saying? She can't die. Yang said she was faking. Who dies just from losing 2 babies? She was just upset I loved someone else, pretending to be sick to win me back. She's done this before. I slapped him twice more. So you do know you betrayed her? I sneered. You swore you would never wrong Wen Yunxiao in this life, or heaven and earth would destroy you. If heaven won't take you, I will. With that, I struck down with my blade. I castrated him. Amid the splashing blood, Xie Yang wailed in agony. 12. When Yunqiao was right. The one truly responsible for her fate was Xie Yang. I didn't plan to kill him quickly. I wanted to torture him properly first. Unfortunately, dawn broke. The capital's imperial guards surrounded the general's mansion. Xie Yang and I were both taken to the palace. Xie Yang, now a eunuch, was sweating in pain, unable to walk. He was carried into the imperial study. The light suddenly softened. Amid the faint scent of dragon amber, I saw Li Chenghuan again. So his bold plan all those years ago had succeeded. Li Chenghuan also saw me. He raised an eyebrow, as if unsurprised. What's this, General Xie, sending for me in the middle of the night, pale as death? Xie Yang knelt up shakily as if seeing a savior. Your Majesty, I have found a remnant of the old southern rebels, this which is highly skilled in martial arts. I dared not raise alarm, so I sent men quietly to report. She has wicked intentions. I used myself as bait to hold her. Please execute her at once to remove the threat. Li Chenghuan looked at me. Is that so? No, I don't know what he's talking about. As I spoke, I handed over concubine Fang's confession. Xie Yang swore he would never betray his wife, or die a terrible death. I only helped him fulfill his oath. What crime have I committed? This concubine knew her sins were grave, wrote a confession, then killed herself. Miss Song Yang was killed by General Xie, nothing to do with me. As for General Xie, I only castrated him, I didn't take his life. I grinned. Where I'm from, gelded livestock are healthier and live longer. Xie Yang trembled with rage. His voice was bloody and tearful as he kowtowed heavily to Li Chenghuan 3 times. Lies, Your Majesty, justice. She colluded with rebels and wounded me with a plum blossom dagger. If you investigate, you will find. Li Chenghuan stroked his chin and interrupted gently. But I think this young lady makes perfect sense. Xie Yang froze as if his throat had been seized. A moment later, he spat up blood and fainted from anger. Li Chenghuan laughed again. He ordered men to take Xie Yang down for treatment. When we were alone in the study, he stood slowly, stepped down from the dais, and stood before me. Afu. He said, are you still using the dagger I gave you? 13. It was my 3rd month as Li Chenghuan's guard. He gave me a dagger, saying it was for self-defense. I thought it strange. No need, I have my own. Weapons were only useful if you were used to them. Li Chenghuan was persistent. Today is your birthday. I carved this for days. It's your birthday gift. I still didn't want it. So what if he carved it himself? It was still useless. In the end, Li Chenghuan played his trump card. Use it once, and I'll add 10 taels to your pay. That was a good deal, I agreed. But the first time I used it, I failed to kill my target. Instead, it broke me, and when Yunqiao apart completely, I couldn't help blaming Li Chenghuan. After returning, I threw the dagger deep into my chest. 3 more months passed. Our 6-month agreement ended. Li Chenghuan said his great mission was complete and asked if I would return to the capital with him. I politely refused. I don't want to, the south is fine. He spoke like coaxing a child. This time, you won't be a guard, Afu. I'll marry you. I'll make you my noble consort. How about it? Not interested. Then your empress. Still not interested. I sheathed my sword and added, not interested in consort, not interested in empress. And I'm not interested in you either. Our time is up. Pay me. I'm going home. Li Chenghuan fell silent for a long time. The air grew stiff. I quietly gripped my sword, but in the end, he exhaled softly and smiled. All right, men, take Miss Jiang to receive 3,000 taels. Afu, we leave for the capital tonight. If you change your mind later, come anytime. My promise stands forever. I didn't answer. I took the money and left. Long after I was gone, I heard Li Chenghuan's close aide whisper, Your Highness, our plan is to replace the ruler with another. She knows everything. Such a dangerous person. Useless to us, why not? Li Chenghuan sneered. Which of you can kill her? Complete silence. Then he sighed softly. Besides, my feelings for her are real. I didn't catch the rest. I just thought Li Chenghuan had self-awareness. Those men around him couldn't beat me even combined. I took the money back. But when Yunqiao was already gone from the south, I had no use for it, so I donated it all to the orphanage. Time slipped by like dew. 6 years passed in a blink. Afu, I've waited for you in the palace for 6 years, and you never came. I never imagined you'd finally come to the capital. For Xie Yang, honestly, I'm jealous. I was confused. I came to kill him. Are you really jealous of that? He stared straight at me. After a long while, he sighed. Fine, I accept defeat. But Afu, you killed people openly in the capital. Did you ever think, if I chose not to spare you, how would you defend yourself? I thought Li Chenghuan was being ungrateful. Xie Yang hasn't been to the border in ages. You gave him a title and kept him in the capital to weaken his military power. I just castrated him. I solved a major problem for you, and kept him from digging into the old rebel business, and you want to punish me. Is that how you repay kindness? Li Chenghuan fell silent again. I was certain, just like 6 years ago, for a moment, he wanted to kill me, but he held back in the end. He knew well enough that if it came to that, I would take him with me before I left. So Li Chenghuan finally said, Afu, will you stay in the palace for me? He said he had thought of me every day for 6 years, and the throne of Empress had been empty all along. If you are Empress, I will favor only you, forever. I nodded at the blood-stained confession on the floor. Someone else once promised forever. Times change, who can be sure? Li Chenghuan sighed. You never leave any room. Very well. As soon as I knew you were in the capital, I sent imperial physicians to the general's mansion to treat your friend. When she's better, take her back to the south. I froze. The thought that Wen Yunxiao might live swallowed me in pure joy. In the end, under Li Chenghuan's thoughtful gaze, I felt moisture at the corner of my eye. Afu, once you leave this time, never return to the capital. He looked at me deeply. Otherwise, I cannot promise I will still spare you if you reject me a third time. It was spring, warm and blooming. I drove a carriage, taking the recovering Wen Yunxiao and 3-year-old Xie Shu back to the south. Before leaving, Wen Yunxiao sold all her property in the capital, and stuffed a thick stack of banknotes into my hand. She said, Afu, it's all yours. Xie Shu copied her, saying in a milky voice, Aunt Afu, all yours. She broke the pastry in her hand into 3 pieces and shared them with us. After I took a bite, I saw Li Chenghuan watching me from under the hibiscus tree near the city gate. I jumped off the carriage, walked over, plucked a hibiscus flower, and handed it to him. I remember you liked plum blossoms, but it's spring now, only hibiscus is available. Li Chenghuan sniffed it. No, I've loved hibiscus flowers since 6 years ago. Afu, you never show kindness for no reason. Speak, what do you want me to do for you? I leaned closer. I won't let Xie Yang off. You want me to kill him for you? No, I already killed him. Li Chenghuan, just don't look into it, I said. Also, Li Chenghuan, I might kind of like you too, but I won't stay in the capital. If you ever change your mind, you can come find me in the south. I knew Li Chenghuan would not come, just as he knew I would never stay in the capital. The faint feelings between us were not enough for either of us to back down, so I turned back, took the reins, and took my only best friend in this life, riding toward the lush spring of the south.